Hello, I am the Miami Autism Dad, Victor Antunes, the Inclusive Miami Realtor, and this is the Autism Podcast at Miami's Community Newspapers. Today I'm with Talia Rangel of the Rangel Advocacy Law and with Sandra Rancano. She is the founder of Next Steps Educational Consulting. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Talia, a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. I founded Rangel Advocacy Law about a year ago. I was a law professor, clinical professor at Nova for about 5 years, where we assisted parents in the Broward County community with guardian advocacy, powers of attorneys, disability, discrimination cases, and special education. We did that for about 5 years, and when my fellowship ended, I decided I wanted to continue this area of law, especially because I have a little sister with Down syndrome. And I've always enjoyed empowering parents and young adults with disabilities. And that's how Rangel Advocacy was born. So now we are a private firm assisting parents in the disability world, educating them and empowering young adults with disabilities.
Thank you for what you do. It's very important.
Thank you.
Sandra, what is your connection with the autism community?
Hello, my name is Sandra Rancano, and I started Next Steps Educational Consulting. I have a daughter who's 26 years old, an autistic daughter, and so I have been through all of the struggles, frustration that the parents have done. So I have worked over 15 years in the nonprofit world and educated myself and to other rights, and not only rights, but just really helping parents in realizing that they're not alone. And I want to walk beside them to help them with all of the confusion and frustration that they may have.
Which there's a lot of that.
Oh, yes.
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 So you two off camera are not just friends, you also are colleagues, you work together.
Correct.
How does your work intersect?
Oh, well, definitely. I was very happy to meet Talia. I also started about 1.5 years ago, so we met each other. And so when parents need help in where I cannot help them anymore because it is an attorney in a legal matter, then I do refer them to Talia. Mm-hmm. And then Talia also, if it's an educational issue, then she also sends them to me. So we really are good working together. And we really support each other also in the community, in being at resource tables and really helping. And to me, Talia is even more impressive in helping because of her daughter, because she does feel, and, part of helping parents is also looking into that emotional component and making sure that parents are always overwhelmed, who to trust, where to go. And so she is, that's why I promote her, because she is very trustworthy.
No, thank you. No, and we really do work well, especially because my expertise is guardianship alternatives, right? Mm-hmm. Explaining to parents what is going to happen when your child turns 18, what alternatives you have, right? A lot of parents think that guardianship is the only alternative. And then that's where I come in to explain guardian advocacy, supported decision-making agreements, powers of attorneys. So we really complement each other because she's in the special education area, right, where parents are learning those alternatives at the transition IEP meetings, mm-hmm. where the school is letting the parent know your child is about to become an adult. This is what you need. So that's where we both work together in collaborating with the family, empowering them with the tools that they need.
Now you do guardianship and guardianship advocacy, but that word guardianship is still in there. So what's the difference?
The biggest difference is that in a guardianship, the person is going to be adjudicated incapacitated, mm-hmm. meaning that the right to vote, to marry, to have a job, a driver's license, those individual rights are at stake, right? And who determines what rights are removed? 3 medical professionals appointed by the court. In a guardian advocacy, it's not a guardianship because the person is never deemed incapacitated. Right, so they retain the right to vote, to marry, to have a job, to have a driver's license. So it's a lesser alternative to guardianship because it doesn't remove individual rights as to a guardianship. That not many parents know that guardian advocacy is definitely a doable alternative.
That's great. And the guardianship, if it's done, is at 18. So at what age are parents coming to you, or what age should they come to you?
Parents usually come at 16 or 17, and it's usually because they have met with their IEP team, and the IEP team has told them your child is about to turn 18, and they always mention guardianship. And that's fine, right? Because an IEP team are not lawyers, so they don't understand the legal alternatives. So a lot of the parents will come when their child is 16, sometimes 15, because they want to understand more. Now, guardianship, it's the same law through the entire state of Florida, but each judicial circuit have different rules, right? In Broward County, you can't file until a month before the 18th birthday. Other counties, you can do it 6 months before. So it depends on where you live, even though the law is still the same.
And what is it in Dade County?
In Dade County, you can file within the 6 months, but parents also have to understand that any right that is removed won't be valid until they turn 18, right? Because as parents, we are our children's natural guardians until the 18th birthday.
And if your kids improve, this can be changed.
Definitely. And that's another area of focus in Rangel advocacy law, where we do restoration of rights, right? And guardianship has a different avenue for restoration of rights and guardian advocacy as well, right? Because it's more restrictive, the guardianship, you have to restore capacity, which means that the court now has to appoint a medical professional to come back and evaluate your child to make sure that whatever right was removed can now be restored. In a guardian advocacy, the burden is less because you can have teachers, doctors, anybody who knows your child write letters saying, XYZ can now make decisions about who her friends should be. Right? Make decisions about her health. So the burden is much less in a guardian advocacy than a guardianship.
Okay. And Sandra, she's working with older kids. You get them at a much younger age.
Yes.
At what age should parents come to you?
Oh, well, I work with parents as early as 2 years old, 3 years old, right? Because you want them to start, for example, in the early intervention program. Right? Let's say they are already in the early intervention program. Then they have a transition to the Miami-Dade County Public Schools pre-K program, right? And et cetera. And so every time you have one of those meetings for eligibility, you want to make sure that they are going to find your child eligible, right? So I work with them. Have you received the evaluation? What does it say? I review it with them, right? And going into kindergarten and then making sure that in the transition to kindergarten, are we choosing the right educational placement for them, right? Which is a big deal for parents sometimes. Going from pre-K to elementary school, pre-K has a lot of different types of classrooms, where in kinder, that no longer exists, right? So, and also educating and empowering the parents to learn about IDEA, right? The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and also learning about the IEP. What does the IEP say? What do you want it to say? What supports and services do your kids need, right? But I can also work with them, obviously, throughout middle school, throughout high school. So when I do work with the parents, I give them a success plan. This is what we decided. And I would like to keep them coming at least every year, check in, because things change, right? And then the transition into adulthood is even more important, because that's going to take years for your child to learn the skills that they need to either go into a job, go into a vocational program, or go to college, right? And another reason why Thalia and I do is because I do believe always in the kids being in the least restrictive environment, right? We want them to be as independent as possible. So we want to try the supported decision-making agreements first, right? So let's do the least restrictive for them so that we don't have to go more restrictive, and then they grow and they can make decisions and they can do things, right? So I always encourage the parents, you really need to think about what you want for your child's future, right? When my daughter was in kindergarten, I didn't think that she would be able to go to college, graduate, get a master's, drive, all of these things. And I help the parents with the resources available in the community so that they don't feel alone, so that they don't feel confused, because there's a lot, right? And so I help them take it little by little, right? Mm-hmm. And as their child grows.
And you actually go into the meetings with the parents?
For sure. If they want me at the IEP meetings, I could be there. I also tell the parents what you can do when you're not in agreement with the IEP, right? Mm-hmm. I also contact the district, write to them on behalf of the parent, right? Because sometimes parents don't know what the terminology is, right? Mm-hmm. What to ask, how to, and who to address also. So I can go with them to the IEP meetings. I can go with them when their kids get suspended. I'll also do resolution meetings, file due process. And that's where we also work together, because I can go to the resolution meetings. I could go to mediation, but obviously you need an attorney to go to court, right? So I would pass that to Talia.
Before we go to the attorney part, I want to keep on the advocacy, because there's two ways that a parent can advocate. They can do it for themselves, correct, or they can hire somebody.
Yes.
And I kind of feel that, if you have the resources, you should hire somebody. And the reason I think that is that you can write the letters to the right person, say all the right things. But if they want to snow you with some made-up story, they're going to snow you, and you just don't know any better.
That is correct.
So what do you say to parents that are thinking about advocating or have advocated and aren't getting what they want?
Right. No, they really need, right, an advocate that's already been there, that knows the system, that knows what they're supposed to do, that meaning the school system, what they need to do. And sometimes, they really don't know what other steps they could take, right? Many of the parents do not have the money to hire an attorney, right? So I am a very good, very affordable, right? In that case, because you can file a state complaint, which I can do for you, right? There's so many options that they are not aware of. So you come to me, you tell me, what issues are you having? Like right now, a mom is saying, well, my child is failing. And why is this, right? Are they implementing the IEP? Are the right services and supports in the IEP? So I review the IEP. I meet with the parent via Zoom, which makes it very easy for everybody. And then that's where the success plan comes in, right? And you can take the steps on your own, depending. Like some people say, okay, I feel comfortable doing A and B, but I need you for C, right? I have a mom that wants me at every IEP meeting that she has, because it's like, I try everything, but then they don't know what to say when the school says, oh, well, we could do this. And you're right. They're like, oh, okay, that sounds good, right?
It sounds right, but maybe it isn't right.
It's not, right? So that's where the experience that I have, again, my daughter is 26, so I've been to over probably 300 IEP meetings
Which matters, because you're going to learn a lot. Because as a dad, I'm never going to go to 300 meetings.
No. So to me, it's easy. Parents feel very intimidated, very overwhelmed, and very confused. So they want someone by their side that does know, and they don't need to worry about it. And so it really depends on the issue. But I do believe that it is a great investment, because then I do get parents that come to me, let's say in middle school, and their child is already 3 and 4 years behind in reading. And so now, right, if maybe you would have come when they were young, then you don't want them to continue to fall behind. And nowadays, as you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of shortage of special education teachers. And
the budget isn't what we would like.
Correct. So you really need to be on top of it. I left my career when I had my daughter to really educate myself, because I wanted to make sure that she was receiving all of the services and supports that she needed.
Yeah, I would say from my perspective, from what I read, is that the budget is never what we want it to be.
No.
And there's X dollars, there's X dollars. So these bureaucrats, they're going to be looking for ways to deny you because they just have to.
Correct. And we can't be afraid. I want parents to go from fear to empowerment, right? So that they know, because you're right, they are the crisis situation. They're going to say, well, your child is doing okay. They're not failing because the resources are going to those who are, really failing. And sometimes not even, because I get the ones that are failing, that are being suspended, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so I do collaborate with the district. They do know me after many, many years of working with me. So they understand the law, and they understand when the law is being violated. And so they fix the situation. Yeah. And that makes it a lot easier for the parents.
And what's great having somebody like you represent them is that they know that you also know the rules and the law. Whereas a dad like myself, they can tell me whatever. And I'm just like, okay,
Yes.
And it's not that. Yeah.
And I go, right. Oh, no. Well, that's not right. How it is. And that's where I wish the parents that could, I can help them educate them. And this is what you do. And this is, and these are your rights. And so little by little, they will feel more empowered, right? And at least for the basic things, they would be able to, to handle it themselves.
Okay.
And I think it's so great also that she's been through it with her own daughters. And that matters so much in the community when you are looking for an advocate, when you're looking for a lawyer, that the person on the other side who's supposed to help you, assist you, can also understand it, right? Which is why I wanted to stay in this area, because I'm living it as a big sister. But at least for special education, you're going to be in school till you graduate.
12 years.
Right?
Yeah.
So you want somebody who is going to understand your family dynamic, understand the support and the services that not that you just need, but that you are entitled to. So I think it's wonderful when the person who's assisting you really does have that personal, connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have been in their shoes, right? So I know.
The parents.
Of course,
right,
the parents' shoes. It's frustrating. You're overwhelmed. I was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, but you have single mothers that are working hard.
Which is so hard. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they do it either.
Okay, because they really are superheroes, and they need help.
And I think that they're the ones most at risk.
Yes.
Because, if it's just you, there's no dad or there's no mom, and you're doing everything, and the city or the state or the county tells you X, like, what do you do then?
Exactly.
You're overwhelmed.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm hoping and trying to get some grants so that I would be able to help lower income families.
That's great.
Right?
Very needed.
So, cross my fingers. If there's anybody out there who would love to give me a grant, I'll take it. And because there's a huge need.
Oh, yeah, no, there is.
A huge need.
Let's talk about the law and the court systems. There was a Supreme Court judge who said, only a fool has himself for a client. So I'm sure you get parents who have tried being their own lawyers, and they come to you and things aren't the way they could have been or should have been. In fact, I was talking to this other attorney. She says that people go to ChatGPT and they'll say, draw me up a guardianship document. And it looks phenomenal, just like a lawyer would do it. Yes. And it's not. Have you had cases like this?
Oh, 100%. I don't get them as often with guardian advocacy or guardianship. I have had parents on the other side.
Other side of what?
For instance, right now I have a guardian advocacy case where I am representing the single mom, right, of the son with Down syndrome who just turned 18. Both parents are fighting to become the guardian advocate, right? Mom hired me. Yeah. Dad is representing himself. Every motion, every petition he files, it's not somebody who is not an attorney would file, right? You can definitely tell it's AI generated. The language, the terminology. But the worst part is he writes cases in these petitions and motions that don't exist, right? And Florida law is very clear that even if you are a self-represented litigant, you are still held to the same standard as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are filing not just frivolous motions or petitions, but you're filing cases that don't exist, you are going to be sanctioned. Now, it also happens in APD cases. As I mentioned, we do a lot of APD hearings where parents, I understand, don't want to hire an attorney to file or to submit applications for services, so they do it themselves. And they provide from A to Z all of the documents. And there's going to be a few documents there that's definitely not going to be to their advantage. Now they're being denied services, and then that's when now they have to hire an attorney.
Let's talk about this. I guess they're divorced, this mom and dad? Okay, so my wife and I, we're still married. God willing, we'll always be married. But if we were to separate for some reason, I know for a fact that I would, when my daughter turns 18, allow my wife, without a fight, to be the guardian.
Correct.
Because I just think that my wife would be the better person for that. So when you have an ex-wife, ex-husband, and they're fighting, if you could be like a dispassionate just voice to both of them, what would be your guidance to them? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to do what's best for the kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have people who are fighting, they might just be doing it out of rancor.
Right.
So how would you guide these people through the system?
I think there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that, because you can be a divorced couple, but your goal is always going to be your child.
You hope so, but it isn't always that way, I don't think.
So you can have an amicable relationship where a divorced father and mother could still both be the guardians, right? And I have clients who are that way. But when you have so much anger, so much hurt from the divorce itself, you're not going to see that.
It's going to cloud your judgment.
Correct. So in this particular case, had this dad hired an attorney, I could have thoughtful conversations with the attorney.
Yes, you could.
Right? And we can come up with agreements. But in this instance, because dad is the one representing himself, right, we can't see eye to eye, right? And also, the child, like I said, it's guardian advocacy, right? So he has some capacity. And he wants mom. He wants to stay with mom. He has a tainted relationship with the father, doesn't want father to be the guardian. Now, parents have to understand that when you are the guardian or guardian advocate, you are there to make decisions for them, not to force, oh, you're going to live with me and nobody else. You can't see your mother. It's just in making legal decisions for whatever areas the law gave you. So if he still wants to have a relationship with his father, he can. If he wants a relationship with his mother, he could do so. Right now, it's just who is going to have that legal authority to say, yes, prescribe that medication. Yes, perform that surgery. It's just that legal decision, right? But he could live with both if he wants to. So it's always best to hire somebody who is going to put you back level ground and focus as to what's important. Because now both parents are fighting. It's been over a year, right? The hearing or trial is 2 days, and a lot of memories are going to come up, right? Because I have to advocate for my client, right? And he's going to advocate for himself. So I have to let the judge know that my client should be the one to be the guardian. There is no way, and the court has already ruled, that both can be guardians together.
Ever? Is this?
It's the way that the relationship is. Okay. They have so much animosity for each other.
But I'm saying in the law, can both parents ever be? Oh, they can. Okay.
You can be separated. You can be together. It doesn't matter, right? As long as it's for the best interest of the adult. So in this case, they already have been determined to not be able to be guardian advocates together. So the option is mom alone, dad alone, or mom as the guardian advocate and dad as the standby guardian advocate, meaning that if something ever happened to mom, then dad would step in and become the guardian advocate. That was already determined by the court, but of course dad appealed. And now we have to restart the whole process again. So,
and I'm curious, because this is going to be an expensive process.
Correct.
Is there a less expensive mediation process?
Well, the law for guardian advocacy and guardianship is written differently. You could have mediation, right? If both parties want. You can ask the court, can we have mediation? But parents also have to understand, especially if you're divorced, this is not a divorce 0.2, right? Or 2.0. You're not here fighting the divorce again, asking for 50-50 timeshare, right? Oh, can I have overnights? Which a lot of parents have that misconception. So they'll start asking, well, I want my son or my daughter from Friday to Sunday and mom can have during the week. That's not how it works. This is legal decision. That's it. The court is not going to step in and determine where the child is going to have overnights with, or are they going to have conversations with the parents an hour a week. That's not what the guardianship or guardian advocacy court is there to do. But parents have that misconception. So both parents can be the guardians. So I'm just hoping that this case will be finalized by the end of the year.
We'll see. This makes me think of you, Sandra, in terms of removing passions. And what I mean by that is somebody hires an advocate like yourself and you go into an IEP meeting. Because if I go in there, I'm going to be angry if I don't get what I want. Whereas, you might be upset, but you're not going to be angry like dad or like mom. So I think it's going to be very important to have a dispassionate person who's a little bit removed.
It's much easier, right, to advocate for someone, obviously, who is not your child, right? Because when I would do it for my daughter, I had to get to the point where I had to pretend, right?
Which is hard.
It's hard, right? It's hard. So I do tell parents, right? If you need to cry 2 days before the meeting. Please do not cry during the meeting, right? You can't concentrate, right? When that is the case. So I try to prepare the parent as much as possible for the meeting and tell them, right? Let's be calm. I'm not there to fight, scream, get angry, right? That is not my style. I can make my point. We and you, we can disagree and not be disrespectful to each other, right? So that is what I do. And I try to set up so that the decision makers are already in the meeting, right? And the person that has the decision-making power and that they're able to make that, right, commitment. So, but I do understand, obviously, the emotional impact, right, for the parent. And I also try to guide them, right, as to what they feel is the best decision for their son or daughter, because that's really what we want, right?
Okay. I just got a 2-minute warning, but I actually want to go over a little bit, if you guys don't mind, because I want to talk about the APD.
Okay, not a problem.
Tell everybody what the APD is, Sandra.
The APD is the Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
And this is from the state of Florida, the federal government?
The state of Florida. And they are responsible to run what they call the Medicaid waiver. And that gives the parents a budget to help with what services they need as an adult, or in some cases for children also.
And the budget, is it a set budget for everybody, like the step up, or is it case dependent?
Correct. Depending on the needs of your child or your young adult.
Okay.
So it's and I do help parents make sure that they are on a waiting list, because it is very long. As we know, there's not enough money in the state of Florida. So they do it. They have 7 different categories for the wait list. And so most of the parents are, on 7. And the first one is for people that are in crisis. Either they're homeless or the young adult or child could be aggressive to the family. So you can file for a crisis situation. So I do help parents to understand the process and going through the application, getting appeals, which documents do you need? And if they do need an appeal, again, that's where Dalia comes in. And, but yes, it's really, really important that parents, not everybody can be eligible, right? There are 7, but mostly intellectual disabilities, right? Severe forms of autism. So if they have one of those diagnoses, then I make sure that the parents do apply to APD, because it is a process.
Yes. Talia, when it gets to you, tell me what that process looks like.
So when they get to me, they have already been denied, right?
Multiple times, one time? How does that work?
It depends. A lot of parents think, so you have 30 days to appeal, right? But
if you don't appeal in 30 days, what happens?
It doesn't matter. You can reapply.
And then why the 30 days then?
Well, because if you reapply, then you go back to...
Oh, you reapply after 30 days.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
So if you appeal within the 30 days, you don't lose your spot in the application process.
Okay.
Right? But if you don't appeal within the 30 days and you just reapply with better documentation, better records, you go back to the bottom of the application process. Right? So let's say we have 100 parents applying every day. So imagine how many parents have already applied in a span of 2 months.
Yes.
So it's important to not miss the deadline, but it's also important for parents to know that if you don't meet the deadline, that's okay. You can still reapply, right? Even though...
Just back of the line.
Correct. So when they already come to me, they have applied and they have been denied. Whether that's within the 30 days and we have time to appeal. If not, I just explain to them what they have to do to reapply again. So the denial letter for APD gives you an explanation as to why they have been denied, right? It says, you have applied for APD services under this disability. We believe that your child does not meet the qualifications because we didn't find enough documentation that provides XYZ, right? So then you have to file your request form hearing, which is the appeal saying, I want a hearing. Right, that goes to APD, and APD mails these letters. So sometimes you'll receive, in this instance, I received an email on Monday saying you have a hearing tomorrow.
What?
But it says that they mailed me that notice 3 weeks ago. I haven't seen it in the mail. Why can they just email it initially? I don't know.
Can you get an extension then?
Yes, you can get an extension. But sometimes the hearings that are scheduled shortly after, it's not the actual trial for your denial. It's a status conference hearing where if you already had the opportunity to speak to the APD attorney, kind of confer and say, these are the documents that I'm still missing, I'll send them over to you, or what is it that we're missing, right? If you haven't had the chance to confer with the attorney at that status conference, the hearing officer, who's not a judge, by the way, it's just another attorney, will say, okay, we'll give you a few minutes to confer, right? You go off the record, you confer with the attorney and the APD attorney. And if you meet eye to eye, you can just say, okay, we'll go to hearing. Or I review the documents, we'll allow you in the wait list, right? Oftentimes, you go to trial, right? So then you come back to the hearing officer, you say that you're ready to move forward. You want a full day, half a day, and then it's depending on the APD availability.
Okay, now I'm listening to you and to Sandra. So if I'm denied, I go to Sandra first. If she can't solve it, I go to you. Now, I got to tell you that, and I'm just not like an indictment of you guys, just of the system. Right. It seems like this system is rigged for people with money. Because if I can't afford Sandra and I can't afford you, what does a parent do?
Yeah, that's what makes it very difficult, right? Because obviously a parent can go and appeal.
And they can be told whatever baloney story the state wants to tell them. But
you need to, as me personally, just talking about myself, I don't take no for an answer. Anything I appeal, right? We're talking and that's where I want to help the families, because I know it's everything, right? You have your medical, right? Oh no, this service is not covered by the insurance, blah, blah, blah. I get into the computer, I look it up, what is the appeal process, etc. Write emails. You always want to do things in writing, right? Even if you do a phone call, you want to do a follow-up documentation, right? So it's medical. It's the school. It's you have all of these things that you're dealing with, right? And it becomes overwhelming. And the services, right? Medicaid makes a change. Oh no, we're taking everybody off and everybody needs to be during COVID, right?
A question for you, Sandra.
Yes.
Do you think that the state is trying to beat people down? Because you're like, I don't take no for an answer. Okay, but you're married. But what if you're a single mom?
Yes, no.
And they keep asking you after a while, like,
correct.
You have to pay the bills and go to work and change diapers. Do you think that they're trying to beat you down, or it
is the system, right? It's government, right? Which takes forever to move sometimes. You need the paperwork. Parents need to pay attention to their mail because it's not only APD, vocational rehabilitation, also sends your appointments via mail. I don't know why they do that nowadays, right? When we have email, but it must be, a requirement for them. So yes, it's really hard. So the kids go without. They go without services. They go without whatever it is that they're being denied, right?
Yeah.
And the parents that are single families are not aware of all the resources. There are free resources, right, that can help you.
As an autism dad,
right.
I know that 95% of this at least falls on the moms.
Yes.
So these support groups, resources that are out there for the moms, some of the moms, what is out there for the moms?
Well, there are several things. There are mom support groups.
Like?
Right.
Dade County, tell me some.
We have Card.
Yes.
Right.
Just for moms.
Just for moms, right? We have, if you have Down syndrome.
Also?
Yes, we have Parent to Parent of Miami. And we also have the Down Syndrome Association, right?
Which I just had Carlos, Alex Aragote was on the podcast.
Yeah.
The president. Yeah.
Yes. And it depends on the disability, right, of the child. So there are organizations that can help, right? But not only with that, right? You have the disability rights that we were talking about, right? Disability rights is in charge of being that voice for people. Unfortunately, though, you need to wait, right? Because there is an overwhelming caseload for everything in Miami.
There is.
Right?
Well, the whole state, not just Miami.
Right. So there are free services. You have Greater Miami Legal Services, right? But again, you need to wait, right? But my goal is to bring whatever resources. And if I don't know about a resource, I'm going to look for it, right? So when a parent speaks to me, and if let's say we're doing an IEP review, I'm not only going to do the IEP review and that's it. If I hear that maybe you need a psychologist, right, to help you with your son or daughter, I would refer them to, a psychologist in the community. Or if they need social skills, for example, then let's find a social group in the community. Some of them do cost. And
some are free, though.
And some are free. So, you want to find those free resources for the families that need it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm so glad you guys came on because, like I said, even though I'm a dad, I think of the single moms.
Yes.
Most of the let's say this, the negative news you hear when it's autism related with money and what have you, it's the moms. It falls really on the moms. So it's good to hear that, have a mom and a sister come here and talk about all that's available out there.
No, but speaking about moms, also the inclusive mom, right?
Yes,
oh, yes.
Crystal.
That's true.
Crystal has done a phenomenal job for the community in connecting mothers.
She's coming on soon too.
Yeah, and connecting mothers to go out and, enjoy yourself sometimes too. Right. But also, if moms have questions, concerns, they can bring it to other moms who have already gone through that process, right? And it takes, again, somebody who has lived it to create these resources, these outreach, with these connections.
Yeah.
So, she's also doing great work. Gigi's Playhouse for kids with Down syndrome. It is just, now you are able to see that more frequently than before.
Yeah. And I'll say for the moms and the dads that there are a lot of resources out there.
Yes.
But no one's knocking on your door.
Exactly.
You've got to go plug in.
Find them.
So that is on the parents. You got to knock on the door.
we deal with, and I know how it feels to feel isolated, right?
Yes.
A lot of parents, a lot of stay-at-home moms, or even single moms that maybe can't take their kid to the park because they're worried about, are they going to have a tantrum?
Or they're a handful,
right?
They're too big,
Exactly.
or whatever.
So all of this, and they're afraid to reach out. I am in the Inclusive Mama chat, and it is amazing because they are all bringing these, this is happening with my son. What, does anybody have any suggestions? And they do. They go back and forth faster than I can type, right? So it's really important for you. You need, like it says, it takes a village. You need to create your village of tutors or speech therapists. All of your therapists.
The moms,
yes,
that chat you have.
And that is giving you that emotional support that you need, of not feeling isolated, of maybe being, going out. And, as moms, we sometimes always put ourselves last, right? We have our kids, we're taking care of the kids, working, etc. So the moms do need to be kind to themselves, right? And give themselves some time to be able to go out either on a date night if they have with their husband, or, just to go have fun with some of your friends and be able to breathe and not think about the disability for a while.
Yeah. And the dads, we also have the Just for Dads group at CARD.
Yes.
So if there's any dads listening out there that want to plug into an Autism Dads group, text me and I will set you up with our WhatsApp. Now, I have 5 last questions I want to ask you before we close this out. I'll start with you, Sandra, okay?
Okay.
First one is, what's one myth about special needs families you'd delete forever?
One myth would be that, I guess behavior-wise, right? For people to have empathy, right? If they do see some families that have kids that can't control their behavior, right? And it looks that way. A lot of parents have told me, right? Oh, no, I can't take my child to dinner because, they will be scrutinized. So I think just for parents, people in the community to have more empathy. I agree. Right? I agree. On whatever the disability is. Whatever it might be. Right? To just maybe lend a hand if, they can. Or just no judgmental looks. Yeah. Just have your dinner and let us deal with our kids. Yes. Okay. Talia, next question's for you. In one word, what every parent needs more of?
Community.
Yes. And there's a lot of community out there. You just got to plug in.
Yes. Definitely community.
For sure. Okay. Next question is for Sandra. The most overlooked law or resource that actually moves the needle? I would say the IDEA, right? If parents knew more about that, then that will move the needle for them to be able to get the supports and services that their kids need. And I think that a lot of parents wrongly assume that these educators, that they know the law like the back of their hand. Correct. And many of them don't know much about it either. No. When you study special education, I don't think maybe they cover it a little bit, but they are definitely not the experts. So we need to find the expert on that to help you get what you need. Right. Next one's from Talia. One rule, legal or school, you'd rewrite tomorrow if you could.
Right now, there's for many decades, there is a guardianship and guardian advocacy law that indicates that if you have been convicted of a felony or you have been adjudicated guilty or even pled no contest to specific felonies in the statute, you are automatically prohibited from serving as a guardian or guardian advocate. This law doesn't have a statute of limitations, so you could have been convicted of a felony 20, 30 years ago before you even decided to start a family, let alone have a child with disabilities who's going to need a guardianship or a guardian advocacy. It doesn't matter. You're still strictly and prohibited from serving. Even if you were pardoned by the governor of Florida, you are strictly prohibited from serving as a guardian or a guardian advocate. This targets the Hispanic community a lot, low-income parents.
Low income for sure.
And especially if you're a single parent, since we've, been talking about single parents, single moms, and you have no family here. You have no brothers or sisters.
Right. Who steps in? The state then steps in, which is the worst.
Then the court will appoint a public guardian, right? You would hope that perhaps a family member or a friend would step in. But then again, it's a big responsibility, right? You're making legal decisions for someone who needs a guardianship or a guardian advocacy. And many people who are not directly connected to your child are going to tell you no, just because they are scared of the system. What's going to happen?
They have their own kids.
I have my own kids, correct. So then it leaves parents vulnerable and not doing anything, right? Not having a guardianship or guardian advocacy, or you let the system appoint a public guardian who is going to make those decisions for your child. So that is the one law that I would change tomorrow if I had the ability to do so.
And just to clarify, because people that hear felony, they think, oh, the worst, a violent criminal. But no, it could have been you stole a bicycle. And that was a felony for some reason. Yeah. And now because of that, you can't be a guardian of your kid 20 years later, which is not right.
So I'll give you a quick example. I appealed to the 4th District Court of Appeals of Florida, and I was denied. My client, when she was 18, she worked at a clothing store. And as a staff, you get benefits, right? You get discounts on the clothing, the shoes. And she used her discount to buy clothes for a friend. They found out. She got fired, but she was also convicted of theft. Just for using your benefits as an employee to help a friend. Now, fast forward 20 years later, you can't be the guardian of your child.
And the judge in this case, who's overseeing the guardianship request, their hands are tied.
And that was the argument, right? I made ADA, by Americans with Disabilities Act, legal arguments. I made the longevity of how long it had been. I mean, I threw all the arguments that I could. But the law is the law, and that is what is written, right? So Florida and 3 other states in the United States have that strict prohibition. Other states will take into account case-by-case basis, look at the facts, and then they will make that determination.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Florida is one of the states that if you have a felony, that's it.
That's it.
Unless it's changed later on, then we can revisit.
Let's hope it's changed.
Yeah.
Sandra, last question is for you.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
If you had a billboard on I-95, what would it say?
Advocate. Empowerment, clarity, right?
And community.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Parents need all of that. Yeah. So, and we're here to help.
And your email.
Oh, yes. I'm here to help. Really, I do this, from the heart because...
you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want these kids to be independent and be successful at whatever level of functioning they have.
Great.
Right? And for the parents to believe in that and, and push them a little.
Thank you. Hey, well, thank you for being on the podcast. Let's turn to the camera. We'll sign off.
Okay.
This has been the Autism Podcast at Miami's Community Newspapers. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.